Coffin, who has had opportunities here as a wildcard in years gone by. He gets a chance as a full-timer now to take on one of the more consistent performers over the years. However, that's not the case in 2016 for Nat Young. He's having a really tough run the last 4 events. He hasn't progressed past the 3rd round. These guys are really different, Ross, in their approach. Connor had this wave. He's known for his silky smooth style. Nat, a bit more aggressive, less concerned with looking pretty and more concerned with throwing just huge turns.
Yeah, this is a fun heat to watch because, you know, we have the jock, you know, an absolute athlete in Nat Young who, you know, he can annihilate waves. Powerful surfer, and that's what he relies on. He definitely punches the wave. And he almost looks like a thumper. You know, the way that he has that backside attack, he thumps those sections. It doesn't allow the surfers to really cut through the water the way they want to. They have to deal with that chop.
Here we go, a good looking wall here for Connor Coffin. He's got some of the nicest carves on the championship tour, but he's not going to get a chance to lay them down on this wave. It's going to get away from him. Let's see if Nat's wave pans out any better. Looks to have a pretty decent pace to it from the takeoff, but it's starting to reel off pretty quickly too. Nice high line snap there from Nat, but he's going to get out of there. He wants to get back to priority. Good looking lines coming our way. The surfer in red, Nat Young, holding down priority, so he'll get his choice. And he's going to pick off this first one as the most quality wave. He'll drive up into this first section. Doesn't quite get on top of it. That's okay though. Recovers well, bashes the lip, and again, almost losing control. Sticking with it. He's happy just to chip away. He wants to get rid of a 2.77. Just behind him, Connor Coffin gets an opportunity on a face that is much more ironed out. And he goes to the rail, which he does so well. Nice big carve there. Just tapping over the foam, transitioning through to this inside. Does well, banks nicely on the closeout.
And he was kind of popping wheelies and hopping all over the place, so not a very pretty ride from Nat. And it was perfect timing for Connor because the exact opposite behind Nat Young. Silky smooth and an absolute dream of a wave. That's the canvas that Connor lives for. That open green wall allowed him to hack it up. So that maneuver was very strong. That carve is going to be it's going to impress the judges. So in front of him, you know, he was under priority, so Nat was almost forced to go on this wave. So it's tough to surf, so I hate to beat Nat up for it, but, you know, it was definitely a sloppy ride. He was kind of all over the place, popping wheelies and bouncing around. You see him hopping to get speed. You know, he did well to finish on his feet, but I don't think the judges are going to be very impressed with that.
Like we've had earlier in the day.
I actually talked about this earlier, didn't we, Ross? I said to Ross, do you think that you would be a much better competitor now than you were back then for the time you've spent watching and seeing how this game plays out? So there's no, and he went, yeah, I think definitely I would be. So there's no sort of replacement for experience. And that's why when you see people lose heats and then leave the event, I used to hang around the whole event and try and learn and understand what it was that people were doing to win and lose. And I think that that's the important thing, is to actually study what goes on outside of the wave riding itself. We see Nat Young up and riding, boys.
Thank you, Barton, and we're loving your insights as we see Nat just chipping it away to medium-sized wave. And I think we have seen a bit of an adjustment in the game plan. But as the days wore on and that wind's picked up, we've seen some scrappier style heat winds as well.
Yeah, we have. You know, and it's always a big ordeal for these surfers to make the right decisions, especially when there's set waves at the size they are right now.
I love how Barton always kind of gets into that strategy. There's many ways to win a heat, and we've seen more fancied rivals go down in heats today just because their competitor had a sharper game plan.
Yeah, I mean, and definitely if you become complacent with making the right decisions on which wave to catch, giving up priority at the wrong time, you know, it has everything but surfing to do with your loss. So it's a big part of it.
Yourself in the running to win a trip to the surf ranch. But here we go, Nat Young up and fighting. A 7.35 the requirement. A couple of nice backhand whips to get started. And rolling on this wave. Probably has a better pace than any of Nat's previous, but he still needs to do some major maneuvers to get the number required to take the win. Banking away on this wave. Working hard for it. 2 minutes remaining. Just gets the hit at the end of that ride wrong.
And credit to Connor, who threw away his 3. He's got a backup score of a 5. So you can see the start of this wave, it's overhead, and that's when Nat can really go to work and try to impress the judges. There's a nice backhand snap. We talk about Nat's strength. You know, he really has a tendency to carve out of those snaps. Sometimes, you know, goofy footers on their backhand, they can try to cheat those snaps, but what I like about Nat Young is he's got a big set of legs under him, so he really hacks out of those little vert attacks. So it gives those maneuvers credit.
Connor Coffin starting to make his move down the line. He's got that priority. Nat's way deep on the inside, and there is a smallish wave standing up, but he's not going to get into it in time, and it's going to be another early round loss for Nat Young. He's going to fall out of the contest with a 25th. Connor Coffin's going to march on.